Protests just continue on many college campuses across the country today, and that's despite police clearing out several encampments on school grounds overnight.
And we've seen demonstrations from coast to coast, scuffles breaking out between police and protesters at the University of Wisconsin in Madison this morning. And that standoff follows violent clashes erupted on the UCLA campus between rival demonstrators on Tuesday night.
Now, roughly 300 people have been arrested overnight in New York City, and you're seeing there police called in to respond to protests on Columbia University's campus as pro-Palestinian demonstrators occupied one of the school's main halls.
Our Lilia Luciano is at Columbia University. There's a protest taking place there right now. So, Lilia, what is happening? Can you tell us a little bit more? And we also understand that the president of Columbia University has responded.
So, Lana, just to set the scene a little bit here, look, I was here when we last spoke, when I last came live. This was very quiet. It was the quiet after last night. Police came in and, as you mentioned, arrested about 109 students from within the university after the nearly 2 week long encampment and the ultimate occupying of that Hamilton Hall. Earlier, just about an hour ago, maybe less than that, we started seeing people gather here. We heard from faculty members and from students, and the main message that they were sending was denouncing the use of police. They have signs that say shame on the president of the university for bringing in the police. They then started to narrate from their perspective where the negotiations had failed between the administration and students, they were saying, and student organizers and the faculty members who are supporting or who are in a way also being part of the pro-Palestinian protest that was happening in the encampment. They said that the university didn't allow those professors to come in, to step in and negotiate and basically serve as a buffer or negotiator between students, organizers, and the university administration, and that ultimately, because they reached an impasse and couldn't agree on what the students were asking, that's when things started to escalate once the university had announced that they were going to bring in NYPD, and then they occupied the building. What we're hearing is more of the chants, of course, bringing back focus to their opposition to the war. But some of the things that were interesting to hear earlier from, including professors, they're talking about, bringing historical context about the amount of times that Columbia University students have protested peacefully and sometimes less so, in a way occupying that same Hamilton Hall, and saying that history had proven the Columbia students right, that history showed that they were on the right side of history. Of course, what's been very interesting in this protest is that this protest has had various sides. We have also been hearing from Jewish students who have told us that they did not feel safe on campus, that the encampment inside was one thing, but that there were all these other protests happening outside. So once the protest is taking from inside the university, where for days it was students going in and for certain brief moments press going in, now they're starting to happen outside. And of course, outside means that anybody can join the protest. Right now, we can tell, there's the faculty who were speaking, the faculty wearing the vest, the students, but we'll see where this gets to, and if at any point there's going to be a counter-protest, we will continue to inform.
And Lilia, it's fascinating to watch this unfold in real time, because a short time ago, the university president, Manu Shafiq, released a statement saying she's filled with deep sadness, but she basically explained what you just said. Some professors have mentioned that there's always been a long tradition on this campus of protesting the Vietnam War, anti-apartheid struggle in South Africa. But she says that she called in the NYPD because outside agitators had taken over that hall, and that the point in which the protesters damage property, insult staff, and have anti-Semitic comments is where she draws the line. And that's why I guess now also they're going to have all finals as being remote. How does any of this factor into what you're seeing and witnessing? Because it sounds like the university president is struggling. The president is not commenting specifically, but they're watching this. What does it all look like and feel like where you are?
So it's very interesting because, we get to witness the comments from the university and then hear from faculty members and students here who, it's like everything. There is a timeline and, different sides have different explanations and rundowns. What the protesters here, what the faculty members here were saying was that exactly that. There is a history to this, and that there was no need for the university to call in the police, not after the Hamilton Hall had been occupied, but before that, at the time that they were told that they were going to clear the encampment, which had been a peaceful encampment inside of the campus with the tents, with the rules, but that the university, in the effort to silence their voices or in the effort to preserve commencement from happening in a couple of weeks, just decided to start telling them you have to clear at this deadline or else. There were also threats of other disciplinary actions that these professors and these faculty members and these students say they're against, because they say that there were an infringement in their free speech. So basically they're saying you can't have it both ways. You can't, send the police to us, say that NYPD is going to clear this encampment, and then at the same time say that, they're entitled to their free speech. The security thing is also a very important factor here. I mean, certainly once the hall had been occupied, NYPD had been talking about and citing the university about those outside voices. And the outside voices and the outside agitators is something that both the city and the university had quoted. And in some cases, talking about people who had come to show solidarity with the encampment. In other cases, known activists who were seen by NYPD or by university security directing or telling students what to do. What I hear from students, what I hear from faculty is, we don't need any outside voices telling us what to do. We know why we are here. These are Ivy League students, very educated, knowing why they started to protest in the first place and standing their ground on what they want to see, which is the end of the war in Gaza, the end of the killing, and of course, like everyone else, a ceasefire. So it's been very fascinating to hear what they're saying, not so much in the chants, but in the communications and in the details of the timeline and how that might contrast with what the university is saying.
Yeah, all of this continuing to unfold really all over the country. Lilia Luciano, we appreciate that update. Thank you.